Tailgatin Jesus. Hey, you guys are singing good this morning. I mean, my goodness. And you know, it's something funny about our band. Before the service started, I was walking through the back hallway, and I was like, Kristen, how did rehearsal go? And Kristen, who was our person in the middle singing, she was like, I apologize in advance for today. I was like, what? And she's like, I got sinus issues, so I can't hit any notes. And I just am standing here during that, and I'm like, if that wasn't hitting notes, I'm out, all right? Like, you should hear me on the front. You do not want to hear me on the front row. Anyway, aren't you thankful for our band and our team who makes it happen every week? I'm so thankful for them. And we've already had a good morning. You know, Felix got baptized. That was so fun. The whole crew is here. You know, worship was great. So we haven't even got to lunch yet. By the way, who's ready for lunch? Who's got a plan? Anybody got a plan? Okay, I better get started then if you got a plan. Hey, the way we always start is we just say hello to our first timers and to our online family, and it's so amazing how many people watch us online. And so can you just get loud one more time for our online family? Thank them for being here, our first timers in the room for being here. All right, I want to start out today, and you know I like to ask questions, so I got a couple questions to start with. So first question is this, and at Bay Shore, we want you to participate. So this isn't a church where you just kind of sit back. Like, we need you to say stuff. We need you to raise your hand, whatever. And if you don't, no worries, but if you do, it'll be fun, okay? So question number one, who here has ever made a goal before? If you've ever made a goal before, raise your hand. Come on, let me see some goal. Okay. A lot of you. How many of you are like, my goal is to never have a goal? That's my goal. There's always a few, like, set the bar real low. All right, follow-up question. If you have set a goal before, how many of you ever set a goal before that you did not keep? If you did not keep, let me see your hands. All right, if you did not, just raise your hand. Liar, liar, pants on fire. Listen, I set goals I have a 100% success rate at not keeping my own goals and promises to myself. You know what I'm saying? And I am weak. I am a weak person, all right? Now, I have two main weaknesses. Number one, my wife in high heels. Whoa, okay, anyway. And we're not talking about that, all right? That would take this message in a whole different direction. But my second main weakness, some of you know. There it is. Mountain Dew. Heavenly nectar, the Lord's goodness, liquid manna, all the things. If you've not been here for long, you know, you may not know this. I have one of these every single day. Yeah, oh my gosh. Listen, and by the way, just don't email me. You know, I know it's unhealthy. I know I'm going to have dentures early. I know. But I have decided, I made this very clear to myself, I'm allowing myself one bad decision a day. One bad decision a day, all right? That's how I am. And so I drink one of these every single day. Now, I have a very, very strict rule, and this is very real. I have a strict rule never to drink more than one of these in a day. My mom told me 2 is too much, and so I've kind of lived on that. And so I'm down with the one bad decision a day. I've even written, I have in my notes section on my phone, never, ever, under any circumstances, Joel, do you drink 2 of these in one day? That's my memory for when I'm feeling weak. But then last Tuesday happened. And have you ever had such a busy day you earned a bad choice? Anybody ever? Can we be real in church? And I know I'm like a one bad decision a day kind of person. I've committed to that. But like last Tuesday happened. And here's my last Tuesday. Last Tuesday, I wrote my entire message for Tailgatin Jesus Part 2. I always write these messages on Tuesday. And so after that, then I wrote our message to conversation guide that goes out to all of our Bay Shore group leaders. So shout out to our Bay Shore group leaders who lead those groups. I wrote a message to conversation guide. And then I sent all my slides to Nate for the screens. And then I made my lunch, which is salad with chicken in it. Okay, all right. But I do that every day. Now, I didn't tell you what I did when I started the day. I started the day with a Mountain Dew. I start my bad decisions early. All right, that's how I start. But I wrote my message to conversation guide, slides, lunch. Then I helped plan our Mother's Day experience, which is going to be amazing, by the way. If you are a mom or not a mom, be here next weekend. It's going to be so fun. But I helped plan that experience. And then I ran 4 miles. And then I lifted weights. All right. And then I had a board of directors meeting at our Millsboro campus that night. And this sounds like a busy day, right? Yeah. So I get in my car. and start driving to church, to the Millsboro campus for this board meeting, and I passed my dealer. My dealer. Royal Farms, that place where you go to get that fried chicken cologne on. Okay, so I saw the Royal Farms, all right? And listen, I'm not proud of this. I'm not saying this was right. I'm not even sure I was in control of my body in this moment, okay? But my car pulled into the Royal Farms parking lot, but I didn't go in yet. I just sat there, and I was like, Joel, you're above this. You're only a one bad decision a day kind of guy. You're a pastor. You don't make 2 bad decisions in a day, all right? Like, you are a 1 bad decision guy. And I just sat there, and I took a deep breath, and I said, not today. Today, I'm a 2 bad decision a day guy, all right? And I went and got my Mountain Dew, and it was 100% worth it. And I went to our board meeting, and I was all jittery because I had 2 Mountain Dews. So I, walked in, and I'm like, hey, guys, what's up? Are you good? They're like, are you okay? And I'm like, I just made some bad decisions today, But one more time, who here has ever made a promise, made a commitment, and you did not keep it? Just let me see your hands. Yes, okay, that is all of us. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've been like, I'm going to diet because summer's coming. I'm going to start tomorrow, which means nachos tonight, And then the next day comes, and I'm like, wait, today's Cinco de Mayo? Well, we're going to start this diet tomorrow because nachos today, And so, isn't it easy to make a promise that you don't keep? Isn't it easy to say you're going to do this and then do that? Am I the only one that does this? Isn't that easy? Yeah. I bet you, some of you have sat right in this room and you've been like, oh, the pastor's talking about do not gossip anymore. Do not get angry. Do not, buy stuff with money you don't have. Okay, I'm never going to do those things ever again. And then you leave here and you drive straight to Marshall's. And on the whole way, you're on your phone gossiping to your girlfriend. The parking lot's full, so you're angry in the parking lot. You put $1,700 worth of throw pillows on your Marshall's card. It's not even 12:30 on Sunday. You know what I'm saying? Isn't that what we do? That's why I'm calling this message, and we'll put this on the screen. I'm calling this message, I keep breaking my own promises. I keep breaking my own promises. Now, we've been in this series called Tailgatin Jesus, and the whole idea for this series is every week we're looking at a famous Jesus story where somewhere in the story Jesus says 2 words. All right, anybody remember the 2 words that Jesus says? Follow me. Follow me. All right, you guys have been paying attention. So we had fun with that and called it Tailgatin Jesus. Jesus says, follow me, tailgate me. All right, so that's the whole idea for this whole series. Now, you might be kind of new around here. You might be like, Joe, I can't follow Jesus. I can't even follow my own promises. You know what I mean? And I got kind of 2 things for you. Number 1, you'll fit right in around here. And the second thing is this. I came to church to encourage somebody that even though we break our own promises, even though we can't live up to our own goals, our God is always faithful to his promises, and our God is still faithful to his people. And so you belong here. We're glad that you're here. If you're kind of like, I can't follow Jesus, yes, you can. You can. And so I want to prove that Jesus is there for us even when we mess up by telling you about a guy named Peter. Now, Peter in the Bible is famous for making a promise that he famously did not keep. And it's such a famous failure that it shows up in all 4 Gospels. All 4 Gospels are like, oh, we're definitely telling that story, all right? So maybe you know the story. It was a Thursday night, and Jesus sat down with his people, his boys, his friends. Peter was there to have this final meal. And before the meal kind of happened, everything was good. And then in the meal, Jesus stands up in front of everybody and he's like, hey, fellas, boys, guys, Peter. He's like, hey, I need to tell you all what's about to happen. I'm about to get arrested, and you're all going to run around and run away like a bunch of chickens. And then I'm going to, be crucified tomorrow, but then I'm coming back. And I'm going to see you all again in Galilee. And then this is where old #fail Peter, starts talking. All right, so this is where we're at. Mark 14, starting in verse 29, says this. Peter said to him, after Jesus said, hey, this is all what's going to happen. Even if everyone else deserts you, I never will. Jesus replied, I'll tell you the truth, Peter. This very night, before the rooster crows twice, you will deny 3 times that you even know me. No, Peter declared emphatically, even if I have to die with you, I will never deny you. I won't do it. This time is different, Lord. I promise that I'm never going to do it again. Does this sound familiar to you? And so Peter talks a big game. And then, I don't know if you know the story, but Jesus gets arrested. Everybody kind of runs away. And then Peter ends up following Jesus at a distance to the trial that night. And Peter's at this courtyard. And in the courtyard, the Gospel of John says that Peter warmed his hands around a charcoal fire. Everybody say a charcoal fire. All right, that's important. We're going to come back to that. So he warms his hand on this charcoal fire. And there's all these people around the fire. And they're like, wait. You guys are friends. I saw you at the Jerusalem IHOP with Jesus, ordering off the happy hour menu. Is that you guys? And Peter's like, no, not me. I'm a Denny's guy. All right, and then he does this 3 times, and then Peter hears cock-a-doo-doo-doo. Everybody say #fail. So Peter fails, and don't miss this. Peter didn't just break his promise once or twice, but thrice. All in one night in front of Jesus. He's a 3 bad decisions a day guy. Everybody turn to the person next to you and say, I feel a little bit better about myself. I feel a little bit better about myself. The reason we feel better about ourselves is we all break our own promises, okay? You've all had moments where you're like, I am never going to gossip again. I'm done with it. And then you go to work on Monday. You see Susie Q, and you think she winks at the boss, and you're like, I think Susie Q and the boss are more than just coworkers. I think they're... I'm never going to get angry ever again. Then you in the church parking lot, Miss Patsy cuts you off. And poor Miss Patsy, you're like, move it or lose it, Miss Patsy, come on. You're like, I'm going to read my Bible every single day. And day 1, you wake up and you're like, I'll start tomorrow. I mean, we break our own promises all the time. And I'm so thankful that Jesus gives me and you grace, not just on the day that we start following him, but every single day on the journey. Aren't you thankful that we get grace every single day along the way? Because we need it. We need it. And so that's kind of where I want to be. All right, so the first idea is this. Tailgating Jesus means receiving his grace every single day. Every single day. Hey, I'm excited. Winter is over. And summer is almost here. Come on, somebody. Aren't you excited that summer is almost here? And you can tell summer is almost here by the amount of New Jersey license plates out there. You know what I'm saying? I'm just kidding, New Jersey. It's all love. It's all love. All right, but if you cut me off, move it or lose it, New Jersey. Hey, think about this winter. We barely got any snow. You notice that? I mean, I'm probably going to jinx it now. It's probably going to snow now on Mom's Day. Because I said it. You might want to get extra bread and milk at the Aldi on the way home or something. But anyway, we barely got any snow. But I remember when me and my wife first got married, first couple years, I don't know what year it was, we had like Snowmageddon in Sussex County. I mean, I don't know. Does anybody remember what year that was? Like 10, 12, 15 years? 2010. Yeah, there's always somebody like sitting on those weather facts. Like, when's my moment? 2010. I remember that one. Okay, 2010. And it was so much snow. We lost our electricity for 4 days in my house. 4 days, no heat, no hot water, no internet. Oh my gosh. And I think we have a picture from my house back when we had this snow. This is the front door of my house. Some of you are like, oh, it's so pretty. Listen, you have never shoveled a driveway if you think this is good, okay? This is not good. We had no electricity for 4 days, and I was good for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, I was like, I don't know. How did people live in the 1800s? I have no idea. And we got so bored right away that Stacy's like, well, we don't have electricity. Today I'm going to learn how to cut our dog's toenails. True story. And we didn't have YouTube. We didn't have internet to see how to do it on YouTube. So we ended up cutting all his toenails too short. My dog's toenails all started bleeding. Yeah, it was terrible. Felt bad for Eli. And then our thermostat went down to 39 degrees. So then I felt bad for me. And we're like, let's go to my brother Tim's house because we didn't want to get all Eli's bloody paw prints on our carpet, you know what I'm saying? And my brother lived down the road and he had a fireplace. And so we had to walk to my brother's house because somebody didn't shovel the driveway. Okay, so we walked to my brother's house. We're carrying Eli. He's got 20 fingernail, toenail, injuries. And we go to Tim's and we're like, hey, Tim, can we stay here? Do you like your white carpet? Because we got a bleeder, okay? Can we use your fireplace? So we stayed there, and every day I would walk home, and no electricity. I thought it was the end times, you guys. It was terrible. And so, nothing worked, and eventually, I know it was cold in our house, but our refrigerator was kind of warming up. And so I took, this is not a lie, I had to take everything out of the refrigerator, and I just put it out in the side yard. I had, chicken in the snow. I had ketchup, apples. I had it all out there in the snow. And finally, after 4 days, the electricity came back on. Somebody say hallelujah. I hugged the refrigerator. I looked at my internet modem. I'm like, never do this to me again, okay? Never. And I watched the temperature go up in the house. And listen, during Snowmageddon, I learned that my house, it is made to run on electricity. It does not work right without electricity. And I tell you that because I think spiritually, you and I were made to run on the grace and the mercy of God. And when we don't have his mercy running in our life, we don't work right. We don't work right. And listen, if you take grace and mercy out of your life right now, you're going to be frustrated. You're going to be wanting to throw in the towel constantly because we have a 100% success rate of failing ourselves and God. And by the way, just a little aside, here's a little tip. Whenever you fail, just remember that it's God's grace that's gotten you this far, and it's God's grace that's going to keep you going. It's God's grace that's gotten you this far in life, and his grace is what's going to keep you, it's going to be what keeps you going. And listen, you didn't deserve grace on the day you got it, and you don't deserve it today, and you don't deserve it tomorrow. So we might as well accept it and embrace it and be thankful for it and say, God, I'm a mess, but I'm your mess, because when you run on God's grace, you just run better. It's like my house with electricity. And so let's go back to Peter. Peter, 3 fails a day. Peter, all right, messed up, did that whole deal. And so, only all 4 Gospels tell his failure story. Only one tells his comeback story. I'm sure Peter's like, thanks, Matthew, Mark, and Luke. Way to leave out the best part. But remember, Jesus said, hey, I'm gonna meet you in Galilee. Remember that? All right, so Peter is out fishing in Galilee, and Jesus comes walking up on the beach. And he's like, hey, I'm back. And this is true. In John, it says that Peter just sees Jesus on the beach, and Peter's in the boat. Peter just is like, whoop. He just jumps out. The boat's moving, y'all. Somebody's driving the boat, and Peter's like, I think we got insurance on this thing. I'm out of here, okay? And he just goes to the beach, and this crazy story, resurrected Jesus, cooks fail Peter breakfast on the beach. And he uses a charcoal fire. Everybody say a charcoal fire. And it's almost like Jesus is bringing him back to that moment and saying, hey, Peter, I saw what you did 3 times, man, okay. But my grace and mercy is made new for you every single day and every single time. And then Jesus says this after they have breakfast on the beach. Simon, son of John, do you what? Love me. Sorry, it's not on the screen. But Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these? Yes, Lord. Peter replied, you know I love you. Then feed my lambs, Jesus told him. Jesus repeated the question, Simon, son of John, do you love me? Yes, Lord, Peter said, you know I love you. Then take care of my sheep. Jesus said a 3rd time, he asked him, Simon, son of John, do you love me? Peter was hurt that Jesus asked the question a 3rd time, and he said, Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you. And Jesus said, then feed my sheep. Now, question, just to see who's been paying attention. How many times did Peter deny Jesus? 3 times, thrice, okay. How many times did Jesus just ask him, do you love me? 3. It's almost like Jesus is saying, hey, my grace covers every single time you messed up. It covers every single time. Now, can I get Bible nerdy on you? Can I get Bible nerdy on you guys? All right, I'm going to give you some information that's going to help you when you play Bible trivia over at the arenas. If they have Bible trivia, I don't know, but they do have death fries, and those are worth it, all right? So, The first two times that Jesus says the word love in here, he says it 3 times. The first 2 times, it's the Greek word in the Bible, agape. And we'll put this on the screen. It's the Greek word agape, which means faithful, godly love. It's like the highest level of love. And all 3 times that Peter replies like, hey, you know I love you, it's not the word agape in the Greek, it's the word phileo. Everybody say phileo. Phileo means friendship, brotherly love. All right, so this is kind of like a lower level love. This is why Philadelphia is known as the city of brotherly love, which has not been my experience. Listen, I love you all, Philly sports fan, but loving brotherly, I didn't know. Crazy, yes. Anyway, that's not my point. My point is this. Agape is the highest level of love, and phileo love is kind of like a lower level of love. And so Jesus is like, hey, Peter, do you agape me? And Peter's like, well, I mean, I messed up pretty bad, so I kind of like phileo love you. And Jesus is like, well, wait, but do you agape love me? And Peter's like, I mean, I can't. I just cussed out a middle school girl in the courtyard there, okay? Like, so it's kind of like a phileo love. And then finally Jesus is like, well, okay, do you phileo love me? And Jesus, or Peter's like, I do, I phileo love you. And doesn't it feel like Peter thinks he can't like fully love God at the highest level because he messed up? Doesn't it kind of feel like that a little bit? And I think what Jesus is saying in this moment repeatedly is he's trying to remind Peter, hey, I know your love and faithfulness for me is like limited, but my love and grace and faithfulness to you is unlimited. Like my love and faith, like our love and faithfulness towards him it's got some limitations. But my love and faithfulness towards you is unlimited. And so this is crazy. There's a little crazy twist in the story. Jesus says, hey, feed my sheep. Because I don't know if you know this, but Peter ended up being the first pastor of the very first church. Peter, 3 meals a day, Peter. Listen, he's the worst disciple on the current roster of disciples because they just lost Judas. And Jesus is like, you're my guy. You're the guy I want to lead my church. You are the one. And I've always wondered why. And maybe it's because Peter knew he needed God's grace better than all the others. And so God's like, you're going to teach my grace better than all the others. Because when we know we need grace, we give grace better. Isn't that true? And when we know we run on grace, we run through this life better, just like my house with electricity. I'm just going to tell you, if you want to be a better person, know you run on God's grace every single day. If you want to be a better spouse, know you run on God's grace better every single day. If you want to be a better friend, know you run on God's grace every single day. Because when you know you run on God's grace, you are a grace giver. Everybody say a grace giver. If you want to be a better spouse, be a grace giver in your marriage. If you want to be a better friend, be a grace giver in your relationship. If you want to be a better person, be a better grace giver when you're driving down the road and going through life. And if you want to be a better you, be a better grace giver to yourself. To yourself. And I'm not saying, oh, just go do whatever you want, like willy-nilly, no big deal, just go live life off the rails. I'm not saying that. But I am saying that we need to run on God's grace every single day. We need it. All of us, because if Peter needed it, we're going to need it. So here's that's that idea. Tailgating Jesus means we run on God's grace every single day. Here's another idea. Tailgating Jesus means we let go of control and we let God lead. We let go of control and we let God lead. I saw a funny picture on the internet this week, and I always like to show you my internet stuff I find. So can we put that picture up? All right, so got the surgeon. He says, relax, David. It's just a small surgery. Don't panic. The guy on the table said, my name is not David. The surgeon says, I know, I am David. That's funny. I mean, I don't know. In this moment, I'm pulling in my IV and I'm running down Route 1 with just a little cloth on. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, listen, I am a control freak. I love to be in control of stuff, okay? Like, you got any control freaks in the room? Anybody who's a control freak? Okay, yeah. If you just tried to raise the hand of the person next to you. It reminds me of the other week. We went on a family bike ride. We take family bike rides all the time now, and mainly because my wife is obsessed with closing all the rings on her watch. Do we have any other obsessive ring closers in the room? Let me see. All right, you overachievers. Okay. Every day, Stacy's like, I got 13 minutes on my move ring left. We're going on a family bike ride. I'm like, why do we all have to go to close your ring? This seems like a personal thing, but I don't say that, except in church, all right? But I don't say that because... So we went on this family bike ride, and we're about a mile away from the house, and my daughter, Nora, all right, she's 9 years old, all right? She just, in the middle of the bike ride, she just turned around and went home. I'm like, and she didn't tell anybody. She's like Lance Armstrong, she's gone. And I'm like, she can't do that. Stacy, can she do? She can't do that. And she's 9 years old, and she was gone. And now, I'm not a helicopter parent. I'm kind of like I swoop in every 37 minutes, make sure everybody's breathing and alive parent. Like every 37 minutes, I'm like, you guys good? Nora, do you remember Boys Got Cooties still? You remember Stranger Danger? Good. Like 37 minutes passes, I come back, I'm like, all your bones intact? Your trachea clear, okay? And that's just kind of 37. That's kind of parent I am. I'm not a helicopter parent. But when Nora went home, just biked home on her own, and when we were a mile away from her house, I was like, I am not ready for this. And so I said to Stacey, I'm like, I think I can get to her. I see her little pink helmet, and I think, do you think she has her helmet on tight enough? I'm not sure. Maybe I need to go check, get to her. And Stacey's like, honey, she's almost 10. You need to release control. I was like, is this about the rings? This sounds like a ring comment to me, all right? I don't even like your comment. But I did not want to release control. I am a control freak, okay? And with her, it is going to be a rough time, all right? Because she's getting older and she's getting more independent. But I love to be in control. And I tell you that because Jesus is about to give Peter a little lesson on, hey, you got to let go of control and let me lead. And I got good news and bad news. The good news I already told you, which is we receive God's grace every single day. Woo, good. The bad news is every single day we got to let go of control and we got to let God lead our life. And so let's go back to the story. Jesus does they're on the beach, Jesus does the whole thing. Do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? And Peter's like, yes, yes, yes. And then Jesus is like, oh, okay. Little side note. And so this is what Jesus says. I tell you the truth. When you were young, talking to Peter, you were able to do as you liked. You dressed yourself, you went wherever you wanted to go, you left the family bike ride and biked home, But when you are old, you will stretch out your hands and others will dress you, Peter, and take you where you don't want to go. Jesus said this to let him know by what kind of death he would glorify God. Then Jesus told him, and here's our phrase, he told him, follow me. Things just got real on the beach. Because Jesus is like, hey, Peter, you want to tailgate me? You want to follow me? Awesome. Okay, little side note, you're going to die a terrible death. What? And, little Sparks Notes version on what happens here. Under church tradition, what ended up happening is Peter was crucified similar to how Jesus was crucified, but not the same. Because Peter said when he was about to be executed, hey, I'm not worthy to be executed like Jesus was executed. And so they were like, okay, we'll take care of this. And they executed Peter upside down on a cross. Dang. That is next level, all right? I think Peter got to that agape love. Do you think? But what I think is happening here that we can take away from this is Jesus is like, hey, Peter, I don't need you to be perfect, but I do need you to follow me. Will you let me get in that front spot? Will you let go of control and let me lead? And what happens next, I think is funny. I think control freak Peter shows up to the chat. That's what I think happens. And so here's what happens in verse 21. Peter asks, after Jesus said, hey, you're going to die this, terrible death. Peter asked Jesus, what about him, Lord? He's like pointing back at the boat. Like, hey, what, you see the first mate in the boat? I think it's Bartholomew. How about we off him and I'll just keep eating scrapple with you on the beach. How's that sound? Everybody say, what about him? What? Okay. Anyway, I think that's hilarious. So Jesus replied, if I want him to remain alive until I return, what is that to you? What is that to you? As for you, follow me. Listen, this is about to get good in here. This is a nugget. All right. Peter is like, I don't want to be the one to die. Let's let him die. This is not fair. Everybody say it's not fair. It sounds like my house every single day. Come on, parents. How many of you hear it's not fair 7,367 times a day? Oh, this is what happened. A couple years ago, I was preaching the 10:30 service. My whole family went behind my back, went to the pet store over here. They bought a hamster. Nobody talked to me. Nobody consulted with Dad about this. I just come home from church, and I have this stinky, long-haired hamster named Mr. Nibbles, whose number one job is to pee and poop in my house, people. And when I first saw him, this is what I said. I promise you, I told the kids, I said, I will not touch Mr. Nibbles. I will not clean out his cage, and I do not love Mr. Nibbles. And they're like, it's okay, Daddy. Both of my kids, we love him. We will take care of his cage, Daddy. You know what argument we've been having every weekend for the last 108 weeks? I don't want to clean his cage, Daddy. It's Nixon's turn this week. Listen, Daddy, Mr. Nibbles has been drinking a lot of water this week, and it's really gross in there. It's not fair. I'm like, you know what's not fair? That nobody consulted me on hamster ownership. That's what's not fair. And so, and by the way, who buys a rodent to put in your house? There's an entire aisle at Lowe's to off rodents. We bought one on purpose and brought it into the house. What the? Anyway, I can preach on that. That's not even spiritual. But my kids are constantly saying, it's not fair. And you ask them, I tell them this all the time. I say, kids, fair is not real. Fair is that, if you want to go to the fair, it's over here in Harrington with the Ferris wheel and the fried Oreos. But fair is not real. Everybody say, fair is not real. And that's biblical, actually. Because Jesus is sitting there with Peter, on the beach, right? And Peter's like, this is not fair. Like, let's off Bartholomew, not me. Nobody even knows Bartholomew's a disciple. Some of you are like, was he? See? That's my point. Anyway. Jesus says to Peter, saying this, he says, what is it to you? You follow me. Don't you worry about Bartholomew. I love that because we are obsessed with comparing. We're constantly like, well, why can't I sing like Kristen? When I sing, the whole road clears out. Why don't I make six figures like that guy I went to school with, okay? And he couldn't even order his lunch at lunchtime without getting the lunch lady's help. Why does he make six figures and I don't? Why is their marriage so good? They're always like taking their picture and putting it on the gram, on their front lawn. It's perfect. I'm married to some weirdo, can't even grow grass. Come on, how many of you love to compare? You love to compare? Okay, I guess nobody, just me, but I don't... But Jesus is saying, hey, I'm in control. I'm driving this car. Don't you worry where I'm taking them. I'll take care of them. You just follow me. And we're like, well, why is my health not good and theirs is? Why do I not have money and they do? Why am I depressed and they aren't? Why did I lose my so-and-so and they didn't? Why is everybody else's life good except for me? And Jesus is like, you don't worry about them. You worry about you. I'm taking you where I want you to go. That wasn't even really my point. That just is all free, all right? My point is this, though. When you tailgate Jesus, we let go of control and we let God lead. And we receive his grace every single day because we can't even keep our own promises. But I promise you, when you love him, when you follow him, when you have that phileo love for him, he gives us that agape love. That godly, unlimited, faithful love. And I promise you, he won't leave you. Even though we keep on breaking our own promises, he is there for us. And when life isn't good, he still is there for you. I wrote this down this week. I don't even know who this is for. Maybe it's for one person, maybe it's for all of you, maybe it's for nobody. I don't know. But I feel like God wanted me to just write some stuff down, and I'll put this down, and I'm going to read this to you. And it's just, I just wrote this. Hey, this is like kind of like, I'm going to lead you through this. Hey, I'm going to keep showing up for you. Hey, I know how hard things are right now, which is why I'm not leaving you. Hey, I'm going to keep giving you grace in this area, and we'll work through it together. Hey, my agape love, that faithful, godly love, I have that, so much of that for you. Hey, I showed up for Peter, so just know I'm going to show up for you. Hey, if your life is good, keep me in front. And remember, those blessings came from me. Hey, if your life is bad, keep me in front. And remember, this is just a season and the blessings coming. Hey, no more comparing. No more looking to the left and the right. I'm driving this thing, and I'm going to take you exactly where you need to go. I just need you to tailgate me. I just need you to tailgate me. I just need you to tailgate me. And so do you trust me? No, for real. Do you love me? Yes. I got one answer. Yes. Ask him again. Okay. Do you love me? Yes. It's pretty good. Ask him a third time. Do you love me? Yes. Do you love me? I wonder if sometimes if preachers like me and churches like this make things way too complicated. And I wonder if the only question that actually matters is, I wonder if the only question that actually matters is, do you love him? Do you love him? Not, do you feel bad? Did you fix it all? Are you, living, perfectly? No. I wonder if the only question that matters is, do you love me? Do you love me? In other words, will you tailgate Jesus? Because when you say yes to that, I think it changes everything. It doesn't make your life perfect, but I think it changes where you end up in life. And the reason I say that is because Peter, 3 bad decisions a day, Peter ended up being one of the greatest heroes in the Bible. And here's why. Because he didn't finish where he started. And I just want to tell you, when you tailgate Jesus, you're not going to finish at the same place where you start. Why? Because you're tailgating him. You're following him. If you believe that, just say, I'm tailgating Jesus. Let me pray for you guys. Maybe you're here and that whole question, do you love me? You've never heard it boiled down to that simple of a thought. But after Peter messed up, Jesus' first thing wasn't, hey, do you feel real bad? It wasn't like, hey, what do you got to say for yourself? It was, Peter, do you love me? And I think that's the only question that really actually matters. In other words, will you follow him? And so if that's you today and you want to tailgate Jesus, you want to follow him, you want to say, hey, yes, I will follow you. You don't have to come up here. You don't have to make a big announcement. The only thing I'm going to ask you to do is just raise your hand in your seat. If you want to follow Jesus and say, hey, I do love you. I do want that to be me. It's not about what I've done, but it's about what you've done, Jesus. And if that's you, just slip up your hand. No one's looking around. It's us. I see all these hands all over this room. So let's just say this out loud together. If you're a Jesus follower or if you just raise your hand, just say this. Jesus, I realize I make a mess. I'm no different than Peter. But Jesus, I realize that you love me. And so today, I'm choosing to love you and to believe you're the Son of God and that you're not in that grave, but you're alive. And you did that so I could experience forgiveness. In Jesus' name, amen.